Hi everyone, and welcome back to my kitchen. Today we're going on a super fun adventure to learn all about baking. You ready to get started? Oh, I am so excited. Let's talk about all the amazing ingredients that make our baked treats so yummy. You know, the things that turn a simple recipe into pure deliciousness. From fluffy cakes to chewy cookies, we're about to unlock the secrets to baking success. So whether you're a total beginner or you've baked a mountain of cookies in your time, stick around. I promise you're going to learn something new today. Let's get baking. First up, we have the all-star of our pantry, the one and only all-purpose flour. This magical ingredient is like the superhero of the baking world. It's versatile, reliable, and always ready to save the day. And guess what? It's called all-purpose for a reason. It can handle almost any baking task you throw at it. You can use it for practically everything, from cakes and cookies to bread and pastries. It's the foundation of so many delicious treats. It's the best friend you could ask for in the kitchen. Always dependable and ready to help you create something amazing. All-purpose flour has this amazing thing called gluten, which is like a super stretchy superpower that helps give our baked treats their structure and texture. It's what makes dough elastic and gives bread its chewiness. When you mix flour with water, the gluten proteins link up and form a kind of net that traps air bubbles. This process is crucial for the texture of your baked goods. And guess what happens when those air bubbles get trapped? They expand during baking, giving your treats the perfect rise. Our cakes rise, our cookies get chewy, and our bread becomes light and fluffy. It's all thanks to the magic of gluten. It's like magic, but it's actually science. The science of baking is fascinating and makes every bite more enjoyable. Now, when you're picking out your all-purpose flour at the store, you might see different options like bleached or unbleached. Each has its own unique qualities. Bleached flour has been treated to give it a finer texture, while unbleached flour has a slightly more yellowish color. This can affect the appearance and texture of your baked goods. Honestly, you can use either one for most recipes, but sometimes I like to use unbleached flour when I want a slightly chewier texture. It's all about personal preference. It's all about experimenting and finding what you like best. Don't be afraid to try different types and see how they change your recipes. So next time you reach for that bag of all-purpose flour, remember, you're holding the key to endless baking possibilities. With it, you can create anything your heart desires. Next on our list of baking must-haves are baking powder and baking soda. These two ingredients are like the dynamic duo of the baking world. They're the reason why our cakes rise to the occasion and why our cookies have that perfect little puff. But they're also the trickiest part of baking because you need to know when to use them. Don't worry, I'm going to give you the inside scoop. Let's start with baking powder. Baking powder is like the life of the party. It makes everything light and airy. It's a pre-mixed leavening agent, which means it already has an acid in it to activate its magic. So all you have to do is add it to your recipe, and bam, you're good to go. It's perfect for cakes, muffins, pancakes, and all sorts of other yummy treats. Now, baking soda is a little different. It needs a bit of help from an acidic ingredient to work its magic. Think buttermilk, lemon juice, or brown sugar. When baking soda meets its acidic match, it creates bubbles that make your baked goods rise. Baking soda is especially helpful in recipes that have acidic ingredients like chocolate chips, brown sugar, or cocoa powder. Remember, using the right amount of baking powder or baking soda is super important, so always follow the recipe carefully. Too much and your baked goods might rise too quickly and then collapse. Too little, and they might not rise enough and end up dense and heavy. So there you have it, baking powder and baking soda, the dynamic duo that will make your baked goods rise to the occasion. With these two in your baking arsenal, you'll be ready to tackle any recipe and impress everyone with your baking skills. Happy baking! Unsalted butter, the flavor maker. Now let's talk about my all-time favorite ingredient, unsalted butter. It's like the fairy godmother of baking. It adds so much flavor, richness, and tenderness to our baked goods. From cookies that melt in your mouth to cakes that are light and fluffy, unsalted butter is the secret ingredient that makes everything taste better. But here's the thing, not all butter is created equal. When a recipe says to use unsalted butter, it really means it. See, unsalted butter gives us complete control over the saltiness of our baked goods, and trust me, that's a good thing. We get to decide exactly how much salt goes in, which means we can create the perfect balance of sweet and salty. Plus, using unsalted butter ensures that our baked goods have a pure, clean flavor that lets the other ingredients shine through. Now before you use your butter, make sure it's nice and soft, almost like a warm hug. You can leave it out at room temperature for a bit, or pop it in the microwave for a few seconds. And here's a pro tip: always use a good quality unsalted butter. It really does make a difference in the flavor and texture of your baked goods. So go ahead and treat yourself to some high-quality unsalted butter. Your taste buds will thank you. Granulated sugar, the sweetener. Get ready to satisfy your sweet tooth because we're about to talk about granulated sugar. This is the ingredient that makes our cakes extra sweet, our cookies irresistibly crisp, and our frostings perfectly smooth. It's like the sugar fairy sprinkled its magic all over our baked goods. Granulated sugar is like the all-purpose flour of the sugar world. It's the most common type of sugar used in baking, and for good reason. It dissolves easily, adds the perfect amount of sweetness, and helps create that beautiful golden brown color we all know and love. But here's the thing: granulated sugar does so much more than just sweeten. It also adds moisture, helps create a tender crumb, and even helps to preserve our baked goods so they stay fresh longer. It's really quite amazing. Now, when it comes to measuring granulated sugar, accuracy is key. Too much sugar, and your baked goods might be overly sweet or spread too much. Too little, and they might be dry or lacking in flavor. So always use a kitchen scale or measuring cups to get the exact amount right. And here's a fun fact. Did you know that sugar can actually be used to make decorations for our baked goods? Think sparkly sanding sugar, colorful sprinkles, and even intricate sugar flowers. Extraordinary eggs. Last but not least, let's give a big round of applause for eggs. These versatile ingredients are essential in so many recipes, and they truly deserve the spotlight. These little wonders are like the glue that holds our baked goods together. Whether you're making cakes, cookies, or bread, eggs play a crucial role in the baking process. They add structure, richness, flavor, and moisture. Without eggs, our baked treats would be dry and crumbly. Plus, they help create that beautiful golden brown color we all love. The Maillard reaction, which occurs during baking, is enhanced by the proteins in eggs, giving our treats that perfect finish. Eggs are like the superheroes of the baking world, but instead of capes, they have shells. They might look simple, but they pack a powerful punch in the kitchen. Now, when it comes to baking, we usually use large eggs. This is because most recipes are formulated with large eggs in mind, ensuring consistency in the final product. But here's a pro tip. If you're ever unsure about the size of your eggs, you can always crack them into a separate bowl first to make sure you're using the right amount. This way, you can avoid any potential mishaps in your recipe, and when you're adding eggs to your batter, make sure you don't overmix. Gentle mixing ensures that the air trapped in the eggs remains, giving your baked goods the perfect texture. Overmixing can make your baked goods tough and rubbery, and nobody wants that. It's always better to mix just until combined. So how do eggs work their magic in baking? It's a fascinating process that involves both the whites and the yolks. Well, it all comes down to the proteins in egg whites and yolks. These proteins are key to the structure and texture of our baked goods. When we whisk eggs, those proteins unwind and form a network that traps air. This network is essential for creating light and airy textures in our baked treats. This trapped air is what helps our cakes rise, our cookies puff up, and our bread becomes light and fluffy. It's like a little bit of magic happening right in our ovens. And here's a fun fact. Did you know that the color of an egg yolk can tell you about the diet of the hen that laid it? It's a small detail, but it can make a big difference. Yolks that are more orange in color usually come from hens that eat a diet rich in carotenoids, which are found in foods like carrots and leafy greens. So, the next time you crack open an egg, take a moment to appreciate the story behind it. So there you have it. Those are the 5 essential ingredients every home baker needs in their pantry. With these staples, you'll be well on your way to creating delicious baked goods that will impress everyone. Remember to have fun, experiment with different flavors and techniques, and don't be afraid to make mistakes. That's how we learn and grow as bakers. Thanks for joining me on this sweet adventure. Don't forget to subscribe and hit the notification bell so you don't miss any of my upcoming baking videos. Until next time, happy baking!